If you're trying to learn calligraphy, but you're not really getting the basic strokes, then this video is for you because I'm going to be explaining how to do the calligraphy basic strokes in detail, like a lot of detail. First, let's quickly talk about paper positioning. So if you are right-handed, you want to keep the paper probably at an angle like this. And if you are left-handed, you can keep it straight. The goal is to make the downstrokes. So when you do a downstroke like this, you want to make sure that the downstroke is 90 degrees to the pen. And so from bird's eye view, you want to make sure that this is 90 degrees or perpendicular. Same thing if you're left-handed. So I'm going to do a downstroke like this. You want to make sure that it's 90 degrees. Now the angle from the pen to the table should be about 45 degrees. So now let's talk about all the basic strokes. The first one is a downstroke, and what I want you to do is to take your pen and just press hard on the pen so that the tip of the pen bends and you get a thick line like this. Now, by the way, if you are looking for some sheets to practice on, you can download this blank sheet, and this pen is the Tombow Fudenosuke hard tip pen. It doesn't really matter if you do like the long ones or the short ones, as long as you can get a thick line like this. Now, the next one is an upstroke. So go very, very lightly up with your pen like this, or you could do this, as long as you get a thin line like this. Now, I am actually left-handed. That's why my strokes are a little bit shaky, but if you're a beginner, your strokes are probably going to look like this. It's okay if things are shaky. You can always practice and things will be more smooth like that. And then the next one is a underturn. So go down with a thick line, and then before you get to the bottom, you're going to start lifting the pressure of your pen like that, so that once you get to the bottom, it's already a thin line. So this is where you transition. So right about here, you're going to start lifting up the pressure. And then once you get to the bottom, it's already a thin line like that. Now the overturn, you'll start at the bottom. You'll go up with a thin line. Once you get to the top, that's when you start to press harder. So once you get to the top, press harder. And this is where the transition area is. So press harder and then transition into a thick line like this. And if you're wondering about the angle, so for example, you might have one like this or one like this. So this is the angle, this is the angle. It doesn't really matter what the angle is. So this is just an example of how the angle doesn't really matter, because when you do words, as long as the angles are consistent, so this one is way more angled than the one on the top, it doesn't really matter. So for now, when you do the basic strokes, you don't really need to worry too much about the angle. Now, the next one we're going to do is a compound curve. This one is a little bit harder than the other ones. So you're going to go up with a thin line. Once you get to the top, transition, and before you get to the bottom, you're going to transition again. So at the top, you start putting pressure on your pen and transition, and then go down with a thick line, and right before you get to the bottom, so around this area, this is when you're going to transition again, so that when you're at the bottom, it's already a thin line, like this. So transition after you get to the top, and before you get to the bottom. And try to make these lines parallel. You don't want like a sharp line like this. So this is not parallel. Now the next one we're going to do is a ascending loop. So you're going to go up with a thin line. Once you get to the top, you're going to transition and go down with a thick line. So right at the top, right here, this is where you start to put pressure on your pen. And then you transition right here. Okay, so I'm editing this late at night and I forgot to say something. So if you are having trouble with the transitions, double check your pen to paper angle and make sure it's 45 degrees and not higher. If it's higher, then your transitions will not be smooth. Now, the next one is a descending loop. So you're going to go down with a thick line, and before you get to the bottom, you're going to transition. So before you get to the bottom, start lifting up the pressure so that once you're at the bottom, it's already a thin line like that. And if you're having trouble with the transitions, you can go a little bit slower. You don't have to go as fast as I'm going right here. The more you practice, the better you'll get and the less shaky you'll get. The next two are ovals, and in some videos or some blogs, you might not see this oval, but I do want to include it because it is useful to know. So we're going to do this oval first. So this is the counterclockwise oval. And for this one, you're going to start near the top of the oval on the right side of it. So let me put a dot right here. This is where you start, and you're going to go counterclockwise. So go up with a thin line. Once you get to the top, that's when you put more pressure on your pen, make it a thick line. And then before you get to the bottom, you're going to transition again. Actually, this transition wasn't too good. So you can see how it's still very thick here. So actually, this is a bad example. So let me do it again, actually with my left hand, because I am left-handed and I can control my pen better. So you're going to transition right after you get to the top and transition before you get to the bottom right here. So this oval is used for letters like D, A, G, Q. And the next one, so the next oval is a clockwise oval, and you're going to start near the bottom. So you're going to go up with a thin line. Once you get to the top, transition, and then transition again at the bottom. So transition at the top, right after you get to the top, and transition before you get to the bottom, like this. So this oval is used for letters like, let me just show you, a B, like that, and P. That's why I do actually like to include this oval in my basic strokes. And if you want to download these blank lines for you to practice your brush pen, then check it out in the description. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!